I have a sister called Dela, and Dela was in a relationship with a guy. They dated for some time. Their relationship became intimate, and somewhere along the line, Dela got pregnant. As soon as she got pregnant, her boyfriend decided that he didn't feel the same way about her anymore, didn't want the relationship anymore, and wanted them to break up, and has kind of disappeared. Doesn't ask about the pregnancy even though he's fully aware of what has happened. And Dela is absolutely distraught, um, and is asking a lot of questions. And so one of the questions that she asked was, she fully understands if his feelings towards her have changed and he doesn't want the relationship anymore. But what about the child that she's carrying? He's just kind of left, abandoned her, and everybody she knows and is talking to is telling her to re strategize, refocus, and concentrate on looking after her child. Now, Della lives in Ghana, in Africa, and some of the advice and my thoughts, uh, country specific, or shall I say place or location specific. But some of the things that I want to also talk about that I think would be advantageous to all of us. Doesn't really matter where you are. Now, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to say here um, is to safeguard and to help my sisters not put ourselves into vulnerable positions. Now, before people start biting my head off, I'm not stupid. I know that sometimes you can have the best of intentions, everything can seem right, and then all of a sudden, things backfire. Things are not quite what you thought they were. People change. Human beings, like I've always said, there's no art to tell the mind's construction in the face. People are good, pretentious people, and nobody chooses to be in vulnerable or unfortunate positions, but it's life and it happens. I get all of that. But from people's experience, we also have to learn valuable lessons so that we are better placed to know how to navigate around people in this world of ours. I don't think I know many people or many mothers who chose to be single mothers. For some of them, they became widowed. For some of them, the men left, the marriages didn't work out, whatever it is. And now you find yourself in this position. But I also think that sometimes when we women also think about the situations critically from the get-go, we are better placed to protect ourselves. You see, when you live in a place like Ghana and in Africa, a lot of African countries and in other parts of the world as well, there aren't any laws that are enforceable or being enforced. It's not that they don't have the laws. The laws are there, but they are not enforceable. And in a lot of African countries, unfortunately, it seems to be a man's world. And so when things like this happen, like has happened to my sister Dela, and she's now pregnant, the men leave. And unless you're financially sound, have a, a great legal team that you can afford, you can't even bother going to court to go and fight for the man to be forced by law to become responsible and help you look after the child or children that you have. And so, my dear sisters, my dear Dela, I would advise us first. And I have a word or two for my brothers as well. But you see, my sister, men, when they meet you and they want to get in between your legs, they will tell you anything and everything and make you any promise that they think will be the key to let you open your legs, because they know that we women are ruled by emotions. We use our heart and our feelings before we use our heads. Because men know this weakness of ours, a lot of them capitalize on that. And they'll tell you anything and everything just to get in between your legs. Once they've had their way with you, only the ones who truly loved you as the person and not just getting in between your legs will stay. They are not many, few and far between. They will tell you anything. And some of us women think that when they chase you for a long time, it means maybe they are committed. I haven't given it to him for 3 weeks, so maybe he's committed. Oh, I haven't slept with him and it's been 6 months, so now maybe let me just give it to him. It doesn't mean that. I've seen men who've chased women for 3 years, 5 years. We've been seeing other people, probably sleeping with other people to get their whatever. But you were just like a competition that they must win. A trophy that they must have, which is in between your legs. And finally, when the women thought, we've dated for a long time, let me just give it to him. And he got what he wanted. They left. So it's not about that at all. But the thing is, if you're going to be dating somebody in a place like Ghana, in a place like Africa, where in a lot of countries it's a man's world and you don't even have the financial means to fight certain battles, my darling, I beg of thee, if you're going to open your legs, you must start doing calculations in your head and thinking about all the possible outcomes from this leg that you are opening. You see, we women are the carriers. Whether you like it or not, it is the fact of the matter. Imagine you're in between your legs to be a pot, and the swinging pendulum, the spoon or ladle. Once the spoon stirs the soup and takes the nicest part of the meat inside it, it goes on its nice way. And the pot is the one that is left with everything that is in the soup. That is just how it is. It is the God's honest gospel truth. Some things just have to be said how they are. So always think about it. This leg that I'm opening, this risk that I'm taking, am I prepared to live with the consequences if it happens? Because a lot of our men just want to get in between your legs and have sex with you. They're not interested. They are not thinking about the consequences of what will happen at that time. It's all about feelings. It's all about climaxing, and that is all of it. So if you let somebody come and download some stuff inside of you and you get pregnant, it is now going to be your sole responsibility 99.9% of the time. It only takes men who have a conscience that says, I may not want this relationship anymore, but there's a whole human being that has been born, of which I was a part. So no, I'm going to step up and be responsible and do what needs to be done. They are few and far between. They're not many. They are not many. And so women, I beg you, by the mercies of God, think about it. especially when the man is not married to you. Think about it. Because at least when they're married to you and they've had their way with you and now you're pregnant and they decide they don't want the child or children anymore, as part of the divorce settlement, it can be said that there are children involved that he has to be responsible for equally. For the sake of the children, he has to make sure there's a place for you guys to live and provide enough money for feeding, school fees, and whatever else that the children need for their upkeep. This is why women must always be empowered. This is why, you shouldn't just sit there and throw caution in the wind. These things happen. Men will meet you and tell you the world, they love you, you're the best thing that happened to them. If they don't see you, they can't sleep at night. All of that. And for some of them, it's not even just about the sex alone. They have an agenda. It could be name, fame, family status, money. These days, it's not only women who want to sponge off men. There are also men sponging off women too. So you always have to put yourself in a safe place, in a position that you're seeking your interest all the time. Even when your legs are raised up and you are enjoying and you think you are in heaven, all that time you must still be calculating in your brain and make sure that if these things happen, you put yourself in a position where you are able to survive. I get it. You didn't think about it. It's life. It happened. The way the guy was, you never thought that if anything like that happened, he would abandon you and leave you on your own. It's happened. It's life. And now you're on your own. What are you going to do? To try to fight not custody battle, but to try to fight it in court for him to claim ownership of the child and help be responsible for the upbringing of the child costs money. How many people in Ghana can afford to fight custody battles? How many? Do you know how much money it takes? In today's day and age, when life is so hard, to get any lawyer worth their salt to go to court and fight custody battles for you, their T&T alone, thousands of Ghana cedis per session in court. And if the guy really wants to be an ass, you'll be going in and out in court for years, spending money and throwing it all down the drain. Money that you could have invested in your child's education and focus on looking after the child. We're all spirit beings at the end of the day, and I've seen it where, after many years, the men come back. When they've come back to their senses and they've remembered that they had a child, they always want to come back and now come and claim status and position. And the kids are like, I don't know you. Bugger off. I have seen that too. There's so many irresponsible men out there, a lot of them. They shun the woman, they don't want the marriage, they don't want the relationship anymore, and they don't even want the pregnancy or the children that they have. I have relatives that are in this position, so it's not about naming and shaming anybody. Like I said when I started talking, I'm not stupid. You can go in with the best of intentions, but these things still happen. So you must always be thinking about it. This child that I'm having, these children that I'm having, if it is me alone, would I be able to be responsible for them by myself? Because too many women have been thrown into these kinds of positions, and it is just too painful to sit by and watch the pain and agony that my sisters go through. It is very unfair that two people do, oh yes baby, oosh, ash, and yet it is only one person that must take responsibility for the thing that has happened. All because you are the pot. The spoon came to stir up and take all the nice meat out of it, and it is gone. And now you, the pot, must deal with everything that happened, as if you are the only person, the instigator, and the only person who enjoyed when it was going down. But the sad reality is, as I said, is that at the end of the day, it is you, the woman, who bears the brunt of everything. So if you know you're not ready to be a mom, if you know you're not ready for any of the consequences of your actions, I beg of thee, by the mercies of God, look for some nice place and go and place yourself. Because when it comes down to it, it is only you. It is only you. Some men are so wicked and horrible to their children that they will let you do all the donkey work and slave around and everything. Now when the kids are semi-adults, they now want to come and claim, this is my son, and this is my daughter, this is my this. I have seen all of that. So I beseech you by the mercies of God, my sister, to always think about the bad sides of things. When the going seems too good to be true, when the going seems so nice and happy, think about it. That these are men, many of them, a big percentage of them, are very irresponsible. I'm sorry to ruin it for the very responsible ones, like my father. He fathered me, very responsible man. But there are just too many irresponsible ones that are spoiling it for everybody else. That is God's honest truth. There are very few responsible men out there. If you are responsible, you will not be offended by what I'm saying, because you know it's true. Nice, well-abled, capable men that you see in places of authority and position, and you think that, oh, this guy, they are the most irresponsible ones. And in today's day and age, there are certain professions that women have already concluded that the men that come from those kinds of places are irresponsible. Policemen. A lot of women say they are very responsible people in Africa. Military men, irresponsible. Because they will go and spread their seeds all over the place and don't want to take responsibility for their actions. Shame on you. I've said it. Sometimes you find doctors and lawyers and teachers and people in positions of authority who you think this thing would have been schooled on right. But still, no. You know, a lot of people think that when people are academic and they are professional and they've gone to school and this, then as part of the things that they've learned in school, at least they'll also learn some common sense. But now, if the man really truly wants to be mean and horrible, my sister, Dela, you know what they do? If the man doesn't have a proper job, like a salaried job in a bank or in an institution where they are forced to be on a payroll and pay taxes, guess what they do? If the man is a teacher and all of that, and you know where they are, you might be able to take such a person to court. That is saying that you have the money to do that. And you have a competent lawyer who is prepared to fight that battle. There's some women in the legal profession who are very good at that. I know some of them. But they are not cheap. When those women stand to fight for you in Ghana, oh, it's so beautiful. They've made it their life's mission to go after irresponsible brothers like that. And they don't rest until the battle is won. But it is a long, drawn-out battle, costing you money, bleeding you dry. So sometimes you just have to cut your losses and move on. If you are a teacher and you cannot afford that kind of a battle, if you're a government salaried worker, you cannot afford That kind of a battle. This is for people who are private sector employees, self-employed people that have good money. They know how to fight for those kinds of battles. Long drawn out ones. So my darling, if you are a nurse, a teacher, an administrator, whatever, working for the government, I beg you, you don't have that kind of money. So think about it. And even if these men don't leave you, it's life. They could drop dead tomorrow. What would you do then? What is your safety net for that eventuality? Sometimes when you talk about people not having children they can't afford to look after, people look at you. Is it your job to come and tell some people who are married how many children they should be having? My darling sister, it is you I'm trying to look after. Because this man, apart from leaving your sorry ass and leaving you to be the one that's responsible for the children, anything can happen. They could drop dead tomorrow. They could be sick and hospitalized and have a long-term illness. Are you ready to look after 4 children, 3 children, pay school fees? Not children that you just have, they are wearing panties that are torn with holes in it, the whole bottom, their butt cheeks are all sticking out. Not that kind of upbringing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actually being there, parenting, and giving the children the best of everything they deserve. Because they never asked you to go do jiggy jiggy and bring them about. They never asked to be born. It's not their fault. And a lot of us women, when those situations arise and we're hurt and we're in pain and we're in agony and we think about the promises that the men made to you when they were in between your legs and before that, trying to get there. You take all the anger and frustration out on your children. Let's be honest here. You do it. I have seen it. The child is innocent. He never asked you to open your legs. So my darling, some truths are very painful, but it is God's honest truth. And Dela, you know that I would never say anything purposefully to be hurtful. But in my heart of hearts, I just don't want to see this happen to anybody else. It's too painful. I've seen too much of it. I've lived in it and still living in it. It's not fun. But the truth is, the men that are responsible are few and far between. That's just God's honest truth. It is what it is. So please, always think about, look, just like things can go a gazillion % right, they can also go a gazillion % very wrong. And when that happens, would you be able to stand? And yes, you might be able to stand, but what you go through in the process. I've seen some of my sisters that have aged. I know people that I sat in the same classroom with, and now I look at them and they have 15, 20 years added onto their age because they have irresponsible men that are not pulling their weight. The women are wearing the trousers and the skirt in the marriage to look after the children because the men simply won't step up. And when men come on the social media and they're talking about how women have taken charge, they want to be the bosses in the marriage. If you want to be the head of it, get up and stand up. Do it. Wear the trousers. The trousers is lying there. Wear it. How many of you are wearing the trousers in the marriage or relationships and are being responsible for your children? The fact that a marriage is broken down or a relationship has ended does not mean that children must bear the brunt and pay the price for that. You might not want the woman anymore, but your child you must look after. And if you're responsible enough, my brother, you will do that. Now I come to you, brothers. If you know that you are not ready, to step up and parent. If you know that you are only in for the fun, I beg you, find polythene bag, plastic bag, metal bag, whatever bag you need to find, and make sure that those things that you download, you've collected all of them, tie it well and put it somewhere. Over here in the West, it's just very simple. The woman just needs to go to social services and say, I have a child with so and so. And they garnish your wages at source before you even see your salary. They've already taken whatever it belongs to whoever. You would have been summoned to court and the judge would nicely ask you, do you know this woman? Yes. Did you do? Yes. Okay. So you cannot use tablespoon or ladle to come and scrape out the ones that you put in. Okay. So this bun is yours. Okay. All right. You will be responsible for him or her. Here they even have salary bands and how much money should go per child for each of the children that you did downloading and created. There's a salary scale. If you make less than so and so, it is this much money. And you will pay it. Those who don't want to pay, they have to leave the country. Some of them do. But you must also know that you've lost your right to live here, because if you come back, right there at the airport is where you'll be arrested and jailed. Because you owe the state so much child support and you haven't paid it. I love the system when it comes to that. I really do. It forces the men to stand up and parent and be responsible for their children. It seems so unfair, and it leaves a lot of women feeling that they've been robbed of something. And you have been. But let's face it, you're the one who'll be walking around with the big belly. It's not him. And this is why I always give advice that we women need to always think about it. If I ended up being a single mom, it will be a struggle. But at least I have a good paying job. And I can make ends meet. I'll survive. My child will survive. What about you? Are you ready? You're doing your national service. Maybe you're done. You're a salaried worker. But your salary is not even enough for you yourself, let alone child. Are you ready? You see, and we women, at least if the man is married to you, like I said, it's easier for him to then become, as part of the divorce settlement, he will be made and held, especially if it's a salaried worker in Ghana and places like that, makes it easier for them to be held accountable. But if your man says he's self-employed, you take him to those courts in Ghana, guess what happens? You'll be asked to bring his statement of income and expenditure. And he'll bring that. Cooked, of course. There's nobody in the business. People don't have time to now go and see whether what he's put on there is what it is. If somebody really wants to be vindictive, you come and say, oh, my business turnover is 4,000 Ghana cedis every month. And my profit from all of that is about 1,500 every month. But I pay rent. Where I live, it costs 600 Ghana cedi. My light and water and gas, electricity is what they call light. My light and water and electricity and gas cost me another 200 Ghana cedi every month. I'm just plucking numbers. Might be more than that. And I have to feed myself. I use 300 Ghana cedi a month for transport around to work and back. So by the time the judge adds up all of this, because the man must also live somewhere. It's not because he's had children with you, he cannot have a life. There's only 200 cedis a month left. You have 3 children with him. He says he doesn't want you anymore. What is 200 cedis going to do for you every month? Buy you water and Gary. Okay. The judge says, well, we looked at the expenditure and income statement, and 200 Ghana cedi is all he has. So, boom. My judgment is that every month, Papa Nkechi will give Sister Edith 200 Ghana cedis every month for the upkeep of their children. Boom. Bye-bye. At least here. You make $60,000 a year and more. Okay. It's $400 per child. The judge doesn't care whether you sleep on a tree or outside. That is your salary. It is $400 per child. So they will take that $400 out of your salary per month before you see the rest of your money, and you can do with it as you will. That is the difference between living in the West and here. And they backdate that. If you've been an irresponsible man for 4 years and your previous partner didn't know where you were, the system will find you. And that $400 a month that you haven't paid for the last 5 years, they will calculate that and prorata it and take it out of your salary. And so the men are held accountable somewhat here. But that is not the system. That is back home. So my darling, please, I'm begging you. When this man wants to enter your legs and climax and do everything, at least make sure that he is marrying you. No marriage, no enter. Because when push comes to shove, at least he can drag his ass to court and he can be made to do something. But ultimately, the best safety mechanism for any woman in Ghana is to think about it. In my current situation, if push comes to shove, if the worst possible outcome comes, can I look after this child, these children by myself? Don't just have children bihatically and throw caution in the wind and, these silly things that you say, oh, God is the one who looks after children. Yes, God does. But you look after them and come back with broken legs and looking like a 90-year-old woman by yourself because of the wear and tear on your body. Look, raising children ain't easy, I don't have any biologically, but I've seen it. It's not that fun. It's not all fun and games like that. The way that a lot of mothers on social media make some of us feel that we've missed out and it's your fault. The ones that are honest will tell you it's not all fun and games like that. I have a lot of friends around me here. Can't even get the chance to talk to them for 5 minutes in peace. It's not funny. And it's for years. Running here, pick up this one, take that one to tennis, do this. That is what proper parenting entails. Are you ready? Downloading and enjoying comes with all sorts of things. To always safeguard yourself and protect yourself at all times. Always know, yes, 2 of us are going to have fun. But this coming that I'm thinking I want to come, after coming, everything that comes after the coming, it is me. It is me by myself. What will I do? Some of these jiggy things that you go and do, face it, there's even no coming self. No coming. So he chop you bihatically, do all kinds of yeah things. And even that orgasm you were hoping for, you didn't get that one too. Big deduction. Without going in the dumps, because my mind is going there. Women, please protect yourself at all times. As you're thinking about the positive side of things, also think about the negative side of things, because it does happen, and it happens to people. And yes, you can go in with all the good intentions and still come out short. It happens. But if you've listened to anything I've said today, you would know, at least if he's married to you, you will be entitled to certain things. But if he's just your boyfriend, you don't know where he lives, you don't know anything, but you open leg for him. You don't know any relatives of his that you can go to and hold responsible and say, if you don't let your son step up, my darling, you have no business opening that Lego. Because men will always tell you everything under the sun until they see what the inner part of your thigh looks like. When they see the color of your apple, yes, and they've sucked it and enjoyed it and everything, dissected it, finish. As soon as they pull up their pants, they're out the door and they're gone. And every bloody downloading. And the men want to leave, they should bring ladle and spoon and come and scrape their own out of it. Then it will be a happy place. That by this time, that year downloading has gone to mix with your something, and now you have a bun. What are you gonna do? Always think about those things, because they happen. Always. Oh, but I only just slept with her that one time. It doesn't matter whether it was a quarter of a time. Your semen had spermatozoa. And it swam up the chain and go to fertilize egg. Fertilization don't take place. Belle, now follow. And now, there's a nice, handsome or beautiful baby that has your name on it. Step up and look after your children. There are too many deadbeat, bloody fathers out there. Shame on every single one of you that are not looking after your children and stepping up and being responsible. Shame on you. Shame on you. Have nothing nice to say about you. I don't like you very much. I don't. Very irresponsible. Have nothing to say to you. Like I said, I have some. I know. I know. You're a parent. All you know is how to download, but you don't know downloading brings other things, and I must be responsible for that too. So women, please, look after yourself, okay? And always seek your interest, always. And think about the worst possible outcomes, because a lot of the times that is what happens, especially if you live in a place like Ghana and in Africa. Because unfortunately, it is a man's jungle still out there. The society and systems are not advanced enough for child support that must be paid. If you know how to download, you must know how to pay child support. They don't have that there. And you're always the one who comes last. So think about it. Think about it. I love you. Bye.